talk about the same thing which I talked in the morning, in the beginning. All our masters, they have been very kind to us for the last almost 6 to 7,000 years. So you see that teachers, all the books tells us, follow the teacher who will personalize the teaching. And the teacher says we will follow the books. And when we follow the books, it means these principles are the same, which was taught almost 6 to 8,000 years ago. Why these principles are the same? Because they cannot be changed. I did not change that very I inside, whether we are young, baby, child, adult, adolescence, married, single, divorced, that very I did not change. I inside the body and the mind. So that is why Eastern wisdom talks about these principles. Here is Charlie, anyhow, yes. So these principles do not change. What is the main point to understand? That teachers have been very kind. How they are kind? Because they pass on the knowledge. You do not understand, they teach in a different way, second way. You do not understand, they teach in a third way, the fourth way. They give you all the possible ways to understand. So when we are a seeker, means we have a driving license, we know the rules of the road when I compare it with the driving. And we have the skill set of the driving. That's how we get a driving license. So, same way, when we prepare ourselves, we become a qualified seeker. We have a license. So, the basic principle should be properly understood. Once you understand, understanding means you have started living into that. Now, see this Patanjali, the book that we are referring to. We are referring to this Patanjali book. So, where is the fourth one? Here is meat. So, I was talking meat that. Okay. So, now see the kindness of this master or every master. So, once you are absorbed into those principles, your only criteria is left is to pass on that knowledge. Pass on that knowledge and wisdom. So now look closely that in the first four sutras of Patanjali, we understand what is a meditative state and what is a non meditative state. It's only an understanding. What do you mean by understanding? It's a knowledge. So, what is that knowledge? I know the John's and Sophie's home address, so it means I know how to travel there. Same way, when we understand what exactly is mindfulness and meditation, the mind is mindful of following that path in day-to-day life. But it does not digest so easily. We have lot of things to do in our life. For what? For permanent peace and happiness. And what as a result we get? We get stress and suffering. So we don't realize that this knowledge is going to help us to bring an end to the suffering, but we are seeking an end to the suffering in doing that gives us stress. And that is happening days after days, weeks after weeks, months after weeks. We claim we are intelligent. So I always ask intelligent people, are you suffering from stress? Yes, there is a lot of stress. So use your intelligence. So we use our intelligence, but there is no remedy. So our masters are saying, why don't you start thinking the way I am thinking? Simple. Stop thinking the way you have been thinking and claiming you are more intelligent. Just start thinking. So then we studied that there are 5 different classification of thought pattern. Uh, we understood in the beginning. So Patanjali says, oh, you did not understand clearly. So he has been kind enough. He says, this is how you are thinking. Classify them into the thought pattern and remove the 3 classification of thoughts so that you will be happy. We did not understand. Why? Because we are more intelligent than him. No, this is what the master is saying. I'm not saying. I agree with you. Then we did, master and spoke about that this is what the practice is. Don't create a misconception, a wrong notion. So we understood by 4 or 5 sutras that what exactly is the practice. So there is a knowledge element in the practice that you always keep in your intellect, and then you practice. Then success is near. I leave it on you whether you have really understood or not. And in this group, there is no criteria. I do not set rule that you have to pay this much. Still, the mind is wandering. Still, the mind is wandering. Then master says, okay, you see the kindness of the master. Then the master says, understand clearly. Here are 4 stages of higher meditation. So when I understand, I know every day I practice whether I reach to that state of experience or not. Who cares? Then master says, then we have 5 or 6 sutras. We understood what it means by a seeker. Do you remember? The highest level of a seeker, or qualifications required to succeed in mindfulness. Any 4 traits: Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna. You see that? See the kindness. We don't realize this. So when we don't realize, then we continue to live, okay. Then mindfulness or meditation practice is like a pill. Like a pill. Oh, I have a lot of problems, so let me join. I don't have a problem. Why should I join? So ultimately, we take a pill and we are happy with it. You see? So 5 sutras, he explains. Did we understand? Yes, the sadhana, the practice will continue. Then he explained, he said, okay, now if you have a doubt about the real self, okay, understand the real self. So last couple of weeks we understood what exactly is the real self. So real self, we understood real self is a pure consciousness. It is the source of all the knowledge, and it is beyond time and space, body and the mind, and we can designate it as Om. It has nothing to do with the religion, cult, dogma, belief. Designator is Om. And in the very process, he says, when we practice Om meditation, it removes all the obstacles. It removes all the obstacles if we practice it regularly. See that. See the kindness. I've been telling you all over. Teachers, they are extremely open. These masters have spent years in the forest in the Himalayas without demanding anything from anyone. They did practice themselves. They have awakened to that state of enlightenment, and then they started scribing these principles. Sometimes you see that you hire an agent to publish a book, then what we do in America or everywhere now in the same thing is happening in all the countries. So then the agent tells you that this should be the title, this should be the topic. Here are the 5 or 10 chapters of your book that will make you a best-selling author. Many people have approached me. I don't want to tell, but I'm not telling you the name. He's almost a celebrity, he or she. I don't want you to recognize the gender. He asked me to write a book for him. So I wrote a book for him. So what is the message here of the teacher? That they have spent their entire life to find these principles and practices. They never wanted to be best-selling authors. And you'll be surprised that there are more than 500 books who are anonymous. Authors are not known. We can only make an estimate. We can make a guess. Okay, he might be the author. The master lived. That is the beauty of this journey of the Eastern wisdom. So they simply say one thing. You learn the principles means can you start thinking the way they have been thinking? The life will change. But we think we are more intelligent. Same question arises. If you are more intelligent, are you totally, your life is full of permanent peace and happiness? Don't you have stress? So the answer comes by your own. So you see that this is what. So we have come to that Om now. Now he says in the 29th Sutra, Tatra Tataha Pratyak Chetana Adhigamo Api Antaraya Abhavacha. Do you find lot of challenges during the practice of meditation? So he says that continue the practice tataha pratyak chetana adhigamo api antaraya bhavacha. So when we practice, for example, Om meditation regularly, then not only all our problems comes to an problems of anxiety, of duality, of conflict, of opposing views, that very thought pattern changes. This is what the meditation or mindfulness is. That is the real journey of mindfulness or meditation. I knew many neuroscientists have started their program on mindfulness and meditation, claiming this is what the scientific evidence is. It will not work. It will not work because the principles of the Eastern wisdom tells us to know who am I. Mindfulness discovers who am I. It cannot be understood by the science. There is no branch of the science who knows, who has a protocol, who have the principles to know who am I. Modern psychology understands mind, no doubt, if I say very well, but only when you have a problem, then you go to a doctor. So here what is the challenge? That let me evolve myself to a state where I can bring an end to the suffering. Tatra tataha pratyak chetana adhigamo api antaraya bhavacha. It means when you practice, you ultimately your mind changes. What happens? The mind changes means what? Previously the mind was entering into the conflict and duality because of so many reasons. Now the mind is not entering into that conflict. Why? Because you are living at a higher level of awareness. That is what is meaning of mindful. You're mindful of your thought, your speech, and action. So all action springs from the mind. Hence, your mind has changed. So what happens when the mind changes? It changes the brain. When the brain changes, it changes our attitude. When attitude changes, it changes your personality. So when a personality changes, so what happens? You have a new way of thinking, speaking, and expressing or acting in your personal life, in your professional life, in your social life, in your family. Tadaha pratyak chetana adhigamo api antaraya bhavacha. So what he is saying? What happens that when you continue the practice, all the obstacles on the path. Now, see the sequence, the way the Patanjali is explaining and giving us the knowledge. Now, he is saying that all your obstacles are removed by the regular practice. So, the next principle, the next sutra will be what are the obstacles? See the sequence of understanding. So, the master says the Om meditation not only reveals our true nature, but also dissolves all the obstacles. So, he has not mentioned the obstacles, but find out the obstacles in your life. Today I'm not feeling good. That's why I don't want to practice. Really? Because you don't feel good, you should be practicing it. Look at the obstacle, but the mind follows a habitual pattern. What is habitual pattern? It falls below the conscious level. I don't become conscious of it. No, I feel sleepy, that's why I'm not practicing meditation. So that is another obstacle. I fought with my honey, so hence, there is no need to practice meditation. See that? So the Patanjali recognizes mental, emotional challenges in our day to day life. Look at it. Laziness. So we are going to understand. So all these obstacles are removed by the regular practice of meditation. So there are 9 obstacles like this. It says alasya, pramad, styan, feeling, I don't feel like doing it. I don't find your explanation is better. So what is better in your life? Have you known what is better in your life? Then you are already out of suffering. We don't want to listen, not to me, but the teachers that have passed on this wisdom. So you see that all the obstacles we are going to try, and you'll be surprised that this master wrote this text almost 2600 years ago. And he has a deeper insight into the ways the mind works. He has not only explained the 9 obstacles, but he has also explained the 4 symptoms. And these 4 symptoms can be extended to more than 100 symptoms. And these symptoms have been categorized by modern psychologists into more than 50 different illnesses. And he has written more than 2,600 years ago. So he says he's only the codifier of this journey. He did not discover that. He gives all the credit to the previous masters. So that is why the tradition continues. So we talk of the same principles, but in a different expressions, personalization. That is why we need a live teacher. Otherwise, there is no need of a live teacher. This knowledge is more powerful than atom bomb. You give to a child to play with an atom bomb, what is going to happen? Same thing. If we do not understand, we create our own notion, wrong notion, and those wrong notion backfires. It says, no, meditation is not for me. This is the journey. When I spent almost 26 years with my master, I had the same challenges in my mind. No, he's promoting himself. No, no. I had the same, but I fought with him directly that I have this thought in my mind. How can you correct it? That was my approach. So once it clicks on you in your head, one day it clicks on your head, and the journey becomes the most beautiful journey in our life. You will realize how many years you have wasted with infighting, with conflict, with unnecessary, unwanted thoughts. But until that realization comes, we need a teacher who gives you the live teaching. My honey insulted me 10 years ago. Still, I have the scar in my mind. Let me see, where is the scar in your mind? We keep the burden in our head. Do you see that? I can give you hundreds of examples. You have told me this. I still remember. I will not join your pro. Don't join. Thank you. See that? We go in a very simple way. So understand this, that the goal of this journey is the self discovery. The way we understand who we are is causing a lot of problems. You may agree with me. The way we claim we are, with our body, with our personality, with our attitude, with our thoughts. What the master is saying, understand it clearly. Don't go by blind belief. Understand everything and find out who we truly are. When we understand who we truly are, all the problems, suffering comes to an end. One, and second thing, that we awaken to our true nature. What is that true nature? I have just been explaining in last few weeks. That real self is pure consciousness, a source of all the knowledge. It transcends the body and the mind. It is all pervading. It is full of permanent peace and happiness. Even consider these as hypotheses as we consider in the science and work on it. I'm not saying that I will manage your stress. I am simply saying that we will discover our true nature. So, for even 1%, you discover that there is nothing like real self. Still, you have progressed. You go to a doctor, they say, we will manage your stress. Continue taking these pills. Without these pills, there is no remedy. That is also a hypothesis. So they go by very valid means of knowledge. Every master, we have 3,000 texts. They say, we will follow the valid means of knowledge. There is no chance of the blind belief. You understand clearly, you do the practice, and then you see the life changes completely. So we will understand next week what are the 9 obstacles on this path. So let us start our practice now. Close your